He did, however, highlight how many parents might not be aware of what's going on right under their nose when they've got their heads in their phones. I think that will have struck a chord with so many parents.
It does. I mean, you watch it and it puts shivers up your spine and you almost think you straight away want to say, you're so irresponsible, how could you not be watching your son? That is unacceptable. But a part of you also thinks, hold on a second, if I was at the park, I might sometimes look down at my phone. I would like to think I wouldn't be staring at it so much so that someone could come and grab my child. But there are... I mean, you could be reading a book, you could be talking to a friend. There are times when you don't have 100% eyesight on your children, and things like that make it really easy for people to just judge parents, and I hate that. It makes me feel physically sick. We're all human, we all love our children implicitly, but we cannot be scared into having to be by their side, staring at them 1000% of the time. But at the same time, if they went missing, you'd only blame yourself.
Yeah.
It's just such a hard scenario. It makes me really sad, because I know that deep down there are times when I might take my eye off them for a second, look at a phone or talk to a friend or read something, but I also...
So do you not think it was a good idea? Because that was done to make a point to that dad, that he doesn't pay enough attention.
I think the video was disgusting, actually, because it makes parents even more anxious, as Stacey says. It implies there's more child abduction now than 30 or 40 years ago, and that just is not true. And it also makes parents even more anxious about things that might happen to their children, and children are in no more danger now than they were 20 or 30 years ago, because Anne and I were talking earlier, and we remember, you know, the way mums were in the 50s.
In the 50s and 60s, you put your kid in a pram and bunged them outside the front door so they could get lots of fresh air. And you honestly left them there for hours while you got on with the ironing and all the rest of it.
And you came home from school and your mother said, well, go and play. We play on the streets for hours and hours, or we'd go to the park. I mean, I remember coming back and I had dog poo on my new cardigan. I'd been gone for 3 hours, and that was my big anxiety, not some man coming up with a bag of sweets or
and the fact
whatever.
is that stranger danger, and that's what that video is all about, stranger danger isn't any more dangerous than it was 20 or 30 years ago. And if you think of the children who really have been abducted by strangers, you could probably name them that have happened in the last 20 years. It is that rare. And I know that's difficult for us to hear, because we actually believe that the world is more dangerous nowadays.
But who would you blame? So when you watch a video like that, my point is that even if it's OK to let your children go and they should be able to play and you shouldn't have to watch them 100% of the time, if you are that unlucky person whose child is abducted, you're only going to blame yourself, and everybody around you is going to turn around and say you should have been watching them 100% of the time.
If you extend that argument, you say we have to surround our children in cotton wool and never take our eyes off them and never let them do anything interesting or even remotely dangerous or risky. And that's the problem of parenting, isn't it?
I agree, but it's
really hard. But you have to let them go occasionally and cross the road by themselves at some stage. Yes, you've taught them.
Do you think that's what's changed then, Anne? It's not necessarily that statistically our children are in any more danger, but it's statistically more likely that you are going to get the finger of blame pointed
if something
at you
happens.
if something did happen.
Ask them
rather than getting sympathy.
Ask them accounts.
I'm the first person to sit there and say, you know, I wouldn't leave my children, and that's me judging them.